Hello. Imagine the quality of the data decisions that we could make if we could really experience our insights, if we could really feel our insights. And imagine the quality of the data decisions we could make, and our business decisions we could make, if we had the most important insights at hand. Well, we don't have to imagine that anymore because we're living that time now. Two of our most important research developments are happening right now, and that is experiential and curation. We're going to talk about both of those, starting with experiential. If you look at the trends in cinema, the movie industry, it has moved to become more and more like reality. The movie industry added in sound. The movie industry added in color. The movie industry added in 3D and virtual reality. And we need to do the very same with our research insights. We need to feel like we're part of that movie, part of that research insight. Now, the future of research is going to be much more about experiential, much more about feeling and experiencing things. And let's start with this video here. So for this generation, if it's not interactive, it's considered broken. This is the part that we saw previously, talking about how cinema has evolved over time to really make you feel like you're part of the movie, including sound, including color, including 3D, and including virtual reality. And that's what we need to do with our research as well. We need to feel like we are part of it. Let's look at the computer evolution. The computer used to be something that was in the basement of our office buildings in a big room. Now it moved closer and closer to us, to a smaller room. All of a sudden it was on our desktops, jumped into our lap, and it made its way into our pockets. So it only makes sense that the next obvious move for the computer and for digital is to be more at one with humans. So we have experiential and the computer is becoming more at one with humans. This is the Gartner trend cycle. So the Gartner trend cycle talks about the evolution of a technology. On the horizontal axis is the years, and on the vertical axis are the expectations for that technology. So all new technology starts off with an innovation trigger, some brand new breakthrough technology, and the media gets us all excited about it. Then becomes the peak of inflated expectations, where we see some successes. There's usually some non-successes as well, but they're not usually talked about so much. Then we hit the trough of disillusionment, where we can't seem to find that business case. We can't seem to find how to scale that particular new type of technology. And so what happens is many technology partners fall out and many investment firms fall out. But if we can get to the slope of enlightenment, that's where we found an instance where we can really find a product that we can sell through our company. And at that point there, you can see right now, according to Gartner, is virtual reality. So virtual reality is helping to tie together that whole experience and interactivity that we've been talking about. So welcome to the world of virtual reality. What we love about virtual reality is it helps us to feel the research, it helps us to get very immersed in it, it helps us to experience that research. And it's one technique that we can use for very, very experiential work. It helps us to get closer to our consumer, and it helps us to understand them, both their real self and their projected self. This woman here may be 80 years old on paper, but she feels like she's 18 years old. What I need to do with virtual reality is I need to get so close to her that I can understand how to communicate to her 18-year-old self, but innovate for her 80-year-old self. So what is virtual reality? Virtual reality is defined as a computer-generated 3D environment that surrounds a user and responds to that individual's actions in a natural way. So as the individual moves, you see different parts in the individual's view. It's accessed via an immersive headset and occasionally by hand controllers. And virtual reality allows the user to explore these settings while remaining in one place in the real world. So here I am in the real world, I put on a headset, it takes me to another world, and I can look around 360 degrees. That helps us to feel things and be very immersive. Virtual reality is very easy, accessible, and inexpensive, actually. I'm going to give you 3 different examples of where it's been used in real life. The first is a shopper experience. A client who was a very high-end perfume manufacturer wanted to change its packaging. They had 10 different ideas. They could only afford to make 2 different mock-ups for testing, but they had 8 other ideas. So we couldn't do physical testing at shelf because they didn't have the actual mock-up packaging. So what we did is we shot with 360-degree cameras, walking into a perfumery at all different angles. We digitized the 8 other different mock-ups, and that was an easier way to test. So the consumer goes in, they wear their headset, and they can see from all different angles, all the different types of perfumes and their packaging. A very inexpensive and easy way to get at optimizing pre-testing. Another example is where you can actually transport participants to a place that they wouldn't be otherwise. These are women who are sitting in their home wearing a virtual reality headset. And where that headset is transporting them to is to a doctor's office. So what they're helping to evaluate is some new concepts for how to communicate some new drugs. So what the women saw is something like this. You're going to see that this is filmed in 3D, but we're going to show it to you in 2D. So, oops. Can we try to play that video, please? Thank you. It's in Spanish, so. So you'd be wearing your virtual reality headset. You could see all around you. You feel like you're walking to the doctor's office. The doctor calls you in.
Muy bien, pues según lo que me has dicho, no deseas tener hijos de momento, aunque no descartas tenerlos en un futuro. Bien, pues tenemos varias opciones. Tenemos la opción de la píldora.
And then the doctor goes on to explain several different medical options. So it's a really nice way to feel as you would sitting in front of a doctor. You can understand what the consumer liked about what the doctor said, what they didn't like, what things were relevant to them. But interestingly, it also made them remember how it is talking with their own doctor and comparing that. Much easier and more effective than just reading a concept on a piece of paper. And finally, transporting the client right to the consumer. There was a client who wanted to do some ethnography across several different countries in Asia Pacific. Because it was ethnography, the client could not attend, and because of time and cost, they couldn't afford to go to all 14 countries. But they really wanted to see what those other consumers were like in those other countries. So again, with 360-degree filming, you can be filming that ethnography and the client can be viewing it with a virtual reality headset, feeling like they're almost there, seeing what the interactions are amongst the family members, seeing what digital things are used, seeing how clean the household is. So here was our client who was sitting in Singapore, who could actually see and feel what the consumer in Indonesia was like. So getting you closer to really, really feeling your consumer. Finally, I'm just going to show you, we took a video of virtual reality. So the woman in the bottom right-hand corner is wearing the virtual reality headset, and you can see kind of the experience that she might have, an experience that lets her, again, get closer to her consumer to understand how they work, how they play, how they live. So as she moves her head, of course, she can see all the different areas in which she looks up. And when she looks down. If I'm a toy manufacturer, it really helps me to understand and feel the consumer, feel what they're seeing, experience it from their perception. This is a little girl in India, and this little girl, when you see this with your VR glasses on, it's amazing because you feel like you're going right down the slide with her. So you can actually really, really feel those insights. So the first thing to get us to the best possible decision-making possible is really to be feeling the insights much more than just reading them on paper. But the second thing that's going to help us to get to much better business insights is curation. Curation is tying together a whole bunch of different data sources and making a story out of those particular data sources. Now, the notion of having a library of knowledge is not a new one. Having all of our knowledge, past and present, in one place for all to see, it's not new at all. Having all the books and all the documents in any language connected together. In fact, the library at Alexandria, which was constructed in about 300 BC, was designed just for that, to hold all the scrolls of its day. But you fast forward to today, and we do have something like this library, which can hold information from all different types of data sources, whether it's qualitative research or quantitative research, whether it's social media research, whether it's passive data, Internet of Things data, behavioral data. And what that is, the platform that we have, and there are several competitors who might have something else, but this is the one I'm most familiar with, is the Insight Cloud, where each one of these cards is an insight. And attached to that insight is a piece of media, maybe a great slide from the presentation, maybe a great video. All the insights are connected together, the ones that are related to each other, and it's completely social, so it's a living, breathing ecosystem of insights for all the people who are dealing with that particular brand or topic. The Insight Cloud was developed so that clients could have a very rich experience in bringing their insights to life. Some of our clients would call it a hive, thinking it's like a hive where you have several different people all working towards the same thing, to never lose an insight. Others would say it's know what we know, knowing what is the information that we already know, and having all of your best thinkers in one spot on an insight. And people love to share. So if Facebook was a country, Facebook would be the single largest country in the world. It has 1.86 billion users every month on Facebook. And these users share a lot of information. In fact, they say around the world, the amount of information that we have doubles every 18 months. So how are we supposed to manage all this information and again find the right and the most important insights for a particular brand or topic? Well, enter Herbert Simon. So Herbert Simon is a Nobel Prize winner in social sciences, and he came up with a really interesting analysis. He said, in an information world, so remember, our information is increasing, doubling every 18 months. In an information world, the wealth of information means a dearth of something else, a scarcity of whatever it is that information is consuming. So, what information is consuming is rather obvious, he says. It consumes the attention of its recipients. Hence, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. Meaning, I have 24 hours in the day, and even if I didn't sleep at all in those 24 hours, I still only have 24 hours. I can't expand that anymore. That amount is fixed. But what's not fixed is all the information that keeps coming at me day after day. So in the sea of information, how am I going to control and get the most appropriate insights for my particular business question? I need to find that 1% of insights. And 1% is really important because the difference in DNA between a chimpanzee and man is 1%. So we need to find that key 1%. And how do we find that key 1%? Well, through curation. So curation is the ability to uncover and interpret and connect things all together. And curation in our world involves both automated, so AI, artificial intelligence, and humans, curators, to tie things all together. People like Google and Facebook and very data-rich platforms, they become masters at putting a lot of money behind filtering our attention to the appropriate things. Curating, basically, is what they're doing. So helping us, when I watch that video on virtual reality and children playing, helping us to be able to find other information very quickly about play through search, or pushing things out to us that I didn't even know that I needed to know. So as I mentioned, curation in our world will be a combination of artificial intelligence, the computer, the machine, and humans. And recently, artificial intelligence is gaining a lot of interest and attention because an AI bot just beat 4 world-class poker players in a 20-day tournament. And why that's important is because poker players and poker itself, you can't see the other person's hand. So there's an element of unknown there, just like in the business situation. So artificial intelligence is becoming very strong and very smart. And what it can do for us is it can help to synthesize a whole load of data. So if our data is increasing every 18 months and doubling in this world, artificial intelligence can help us find the right data really quickly. But we still need the human, because when AI played chess against the human, AI won. But when the human said, could I have access to the same information AI did, the human won. So we need AI to synthesize things really quickly with all of our big data, but we need humans to make sense of it, curate it, and tie it together so that most important 1% of data is found for you to make your business decisions. So we need an AI assistant. An AI assistant can help to tie together relevant information. I can use voice activation to ask it a question, and it can give me the answer, or sometimes it pushes out things that I didn't even know I needed to know. So let's look at an example. So this is Sophia. So Sophia is just being designed right now. She'll be ready by the end of the year. She's our AI bot on the Insight Cloud, and I can ask her any questions I want to ask her. Let's say I'm still talking about the theme of play. So I can say, I can ask Sophia, what do we have on the theme of play?
I found these insights on the Insight Cloud. And these 5 videos have been tagged play.
Oh, cool. Show me that one. Outside play around the
Here
world.
It is. Do you want to watch it with your VR set or just in 2D?
Just in 2D, please. Oh, cool. Can we save that for this week when we have that meeting with the ad agency?
Okay. Do you also want to see the latest growth in gaming insights? It's trending on the cloud right now.
Thanks, Sophia. I never would have thought of that. So here she's pushing out, I'm asking her voice recognition, she's also pushing out other things I need to know, helping me to get to data curated very, very quickly to make my business decision. So when we think of curation, we need to think about sculpting. It's not so much about painting as we normally do as researchers. We normally add things. It's about sculpting. And when Michelangelo, when he unveiled his statue of David, Pope Julius II asked, how did you create such a beautiful statue out of a slab of marble? And Michelangelo simply said, I took away everything that wasn't David. So we need to start thinking about this. In this world of big data, where data is doubling every 18 months, we need to think about taking away everything that's not important for our business decisions and curating and sculpting. So we really are at the intersection of experiential and curation. These two things are going to help us to make much better business decisions. We have virtual reality to help us to experience things, and we have curation to help us to synthesize a whole bunch of data in this world of big data and make much more sense of it. But what we thought would be wonderful is if you could don a virtual reality headset or an augmented reality headset and jump right into that insight cloud to really, really feel the insights. And I'm going to show you that that's not that far away. Matt, why don't you come up here? So Matt is helping me here. Matt is wearing a HoloLens. A HoloLens is augmented reality, where he can see you all in this room, but he can also see the insight cloud. So he's jumped right into the insight cloud. So here you are. And he's now going to jump in to have 30 different insights surrounding him. So imagine sitting at your desk, putting on your HoloLens, and here's how you're really going to be able to feel the insights. There he is. So he's got all the different insights around him from the insight cloud. Why don't you look at some of them, Matt? Cool. Do you find one that you like?
This one in the middle.
You like this one? Okay, what's it about?
Playtime.
Playtime. Ah, can turn it over and you can see what all the insights are behind it. Very cool. Looks like there's some media on that one too.
There is.
Oh, play that media. Very cool. So Matt has literally jumped into the insight cloud. He can feel the insights around him. And again, those insights are constantly being curated, so you have the most important 1% of insights around you. This is the best way to make decisions going forward. Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Cool. Thank you. So in the future, when we're making our decisions around innovation and communication, what we really need to do is we really need to get closer to our consumer to really feel them and understand them. Two ways we can do that is through virtual reality. So again, we feel the consumer more than just reading something on a flat piece of paper through PowerPoint, for example. And also through curation, so we can take all the data on that individual and find the most important insights for us. Those two things are available in the research industry today. What will be available tomorrow will be the intersection of those two, where you're jumping right in, as we just saw with Matt. It'll be a very rich experience for clients. They will be able to get closer to their consumer. They'll be able to feel the insights that are from several different data sources and curated. And that cannot help but make better business decisions for us tomorrow. Thank you.